Hi guys, what is up? It's your girl Karen, aka cakedbybabyk, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a full face of Rare Beauty. Believe it or not, I have almost everything that they have ever come out with, even stuff that you probably didn't know existed. I believe there's only a few items in their entire line that I haven't tried, and I'll be sure to point them out. But let's get into this video because I'm going to be trying on everything and giving you guys my unfiltered thoughts. There's actually a lot of stuff that I don't like, so let's get into it. You guys know I always start off with my brows, so we're going in with the brow gel. This is one of my favorite brow gels ever. If you've been watching me consistently, especially over on TikTok, you'll know I've gone through so many of these. Legit 4 or 5 at least. The freshly trimmed bangs are getting in the way, I'm not gonna lie. This gel almost has like a whipped consistency. It's so light and fluffy, but it still has impeccable hold. Look at that brow. I have very stubborn brows because they grow out and down, and this keeps them in check all day. Gonna fill in the sparse areas with the brow pencil. One of the things I love about this, funnily enough, is how much weight it has. She feels expensive. The consistency is not my favorite. It is a little bit waxy. Overall, this product isn't bad, it's just not my favorite. Can you guys hear Dwight meowing? I will say it is really easy to use. It's really hard to mess it up. I personally prefer something with a much finer tip so I can get those hair-like strokes, but overall, it's not bad. If you want to talk about bad though, let's get into the complexion products. I actually don't have them with me because I've since thrown them away because that's how badly I dislike them. For the foundation and concealer, I just found that they didn't become one with my skin. It just sat on top of my face. Just really uncomfortable and overall not for me, which I know is a controversial opinion because I know majority of people love those complexion products. The tinted moisturizer was better, but still not my favorite. So because of that, I'm gonna do my regular base off camera and I'll be right back. I was gonna do concealer, but I forgot that I have the under eye brightener from them as well. I'm also not a big fan of this. The texture is really thin, and while some people might like that, I personally prefer my under eye brighteners to have a little bit more tack and a little bit more thickness. I also have drier under eyes, and sometimes I'll get dry patches, and this will cling onto them like crazy. Moving on to something that I do love, this is the cream bronzer stick. Hands down one of my favorite cream bronzers ever. Just gives that diffused, effortless look, and it really is so easy to use. Also, as an oily gal, it does not get sticky. So good. I forgot to use their primer. I'm not crazy about this one, so I'll just talk about it. This is their pore diffusing primer. Texture is really interesting because when you start rubbing it in, it feels very hydrating and a little bit watery, but the more you work it in, the more silicone-y it feels. It definitely has that mattifying and blurring effect to it, but I don't know, I just don't think it's anything special. If anything, I feel like it makes me a little bit more oily throughout the day. So again, it's not horrible, but it's just not my favorite. What is good though? Gonna talk about the melting blushes first because I feel like these are so underrated because they're kind of overshadowed by the soft pinch ones. These are the cream blushes, and I am begging Rare, please do a shade extension. These are absolutely so slept on. Even though they're a cream, they work really well with my oily skin. Absolutely gorgeous and so pigmented. I barely have dipped my brush into the component. I mean, just look at that. Oof. I just cannot get over how pigmented these are, and once you blend them out, they blend out into like a soft matte finish. And of course, going in with some of the soft pinch liquid blush on top. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time here because I know you guys have probably heard about these tenfold. 100% worth the hype. My grandchildren will be using this because that's how long it takes to get through one. All right, it's time to set everything down, and surprise surprise, another complexion product that I don't really like. This powder is just, it's so finely milled that it becomes a little bit chalky. Also, I'm not a huge fan of the undertones. This one is, I believe, light medium. Yes, light medium. And for some reason, it just makes me look pink, even though it's not a pink powder. I would see this as a type of powder that definitely clings onto dry patches. Like, do you guys see that? It almost has like this peachy pink undertone to where it just makes you look a little red. I fear it is not for me. And the same goes for the setting spray. I absolutely hate this as an oily skin girl. The fact that there's oil in here, it's already negative 10 points. It smells really heavily of essential oils, and honestly, I was willing to forgive those things if it had a very fine mist, but the fact that it sprays, okay, well that one wasn't bad. But historically in the past, when I've sprayed this all over my face, I can feel and see the oil droplets on my face, especially if I've just freshly powdered. I think if you're dry and if you don't use powder, this is gonna be really good for you. I know people who love this, but again, this one just is not for me. But what is for me let's talk about highlights. I would say if you want something a little bit more natural, go with the liquid highlight. This is just one dot and you can definitely build it up. In my opinion, it looks a little bit more natural, a little bit more lit from within. Like maybe you're sweating, you're panting, you're like, oh my god, I'm breaking a sweat, I'm glistening, it's hot in here. Now for the powder ones, these ones definitely pack a freaking punch. Use this if you want to be seen from space, by Jesus. Now I like these, but I feel like you can go overboard really, really quickly. Not to mention they are very, very softly pressed, so if you even look at these wrong, they're gonna crack. I've already broken 2 in my collection, but that's ultimately the reason why you get such intense color payoff with the highlight, because it is so softly pressed. If you're clumsy, go with a liquid one. It definitely brings that extra layer of oomph to wherever you want to illuminate. And because we are blush girlies through and through, I'm going to add a little bit more of the powder blushes, slash highlights. I feel like all the powder that I applied kind of took away the blush, so this is just adding some life back in. Just look at that. This was one of those launches that everyone and their mother was talking about when it came out, and then I never heard about them ever again. And for why? Because they're 100% worth the hype. I mean, look at that. Really great 2-in-1 product if you're looking to save money and minimize your steps. Even though the packaging and how it looks is similar to the highlights, I would say that they're a little bit more firmly pressed than the highlights, so you can be a little bit more clumsy with them. However, I will say since this is a blush and highlight mixed together, it has that more reflective vibe to it, so it will emphasize your texture if you have any. So just be mindful of that. I would recommend going into Sephora and trying it out before you actually purchase. And of course, the same goes for the powder highlights as well. I forgot to mention, but I would say this one, the liquid one, emphasizes texture the least because it is a liquid. Comes off a little bit more natural, a little bit more skin-like. All right, moving on to eyes. One of their most underrated products, in my opinion, are the liquid eyeshadows. You probably didn't even know these existed, right? Because no one ever talks about them except for me. These have a whipped consistency that's going to make it super easy to blend, whether it be with your fingers or a brush or a sponge. They dry down matte, which is amazing for my oily eyelids. And it's so easy to apply. I literally just apply straight onto my eyelids and just blend out with my ring finger. Literally took me 5 seconds to do that. It just looks so pretty and even. I believe they only have 5 colors and they're all kind of within this like pinky peach mauve range. Rare Beauty, I've been begging you since I've tried these. Please come out with more colors, maybe some deeper neutrals at least, please. Selena. All right, next are the eyeshadow sticks. I think I'm gonna use this shade on the inner corners today. This is Integrity, but total there are 5 shades. These are the colors. Now, I personally am not the biggest eyeshadow stick fan. There's only a few formulations that I really, really love. And this one is just okay. I feel like the launch of the eyeshadow sticks and these next items, the eyeliners, was really overshadowed by the eyebrow gel because these all came out at the same time. For the eyeliners, there are 3 shades. These are all pencil liners. I'm gonna use the brown one today. And these are a conundrum to me because they go on so creamy. They glide super smoothly, but they are not easy to blend. Like if I wanted to use these eyeliners for a smoky wing, I actually would not recommend them because it's so hard to blend out. I also recently used the black one in my waterline, and by the end of the day, it had smudged completely down here. However, an eyeliner that I do recommend is actually their liquid one. This one is good, but sometimes it comes at a fault because it is so inky. So if you're a makeup beginner, I probably would not go with this one. However, if you're seasoned, it's really nice. Come on, sharp wing. My one gripe with this though is that because it's so inky, sometimes the liner kind of comes out from this area of the packaging. I don't know why. So just beware of that. Another goodie is, surprisingly for me, the mascara. I will admit, I didn't see the hype with this one at first up until recently. Historically, I'm not a big fan of these huge brushes, but despite the brush being huge, it still separates and lengthens my lashes really well. It also holds the curl all day, and I have not seen it flake or smudge on my eyes. Look at my itty bitty lashes compared to this one where I didn't curl. You might be asking, Karen, what about the eyeshadows? To which I say, I actually have not tried them. Such a shocker, I know. But honestly, none of the color stories really resonate with me. I don't like how there's so many shimmers within one palette. I'm more of a mixed galley. I'm gonna go through the lip products really quickly. Lip liners, nice, creamy, come with a sharpener at the end. Retractable, which is a huge plus, but I have never really one to go splurge on high-end lip liners when lip liners from the drugstore work just as good. My bad, just as well. They're good, but not mind-blowingly good. And I feel the exact same way about the Bullet lipsticks. Now, I do love this custom packaging. I think it's really unique. But other than that, that's all I really like about them. Whoa, that's giving concealer lip. Okay, that's a lot better. As I was saying, they're good, not great. It's really difficult to impress me when it comes to a traditional Bullet lipstick because they all look and feel the same to me. And for me personally, I am someone who cannot stand having a lipstick on for prolonged periods of time. Like, if I'm eating or if I'm drinking something, I opt to take it off and then reapply. So for Bullet lipsticks, I'm usually not judging on the longevity because I am taking it off and reapplying it so much. Again, they're good, but not good enough to take my breath away. However, when it comes to this guy, I actually really like him, although I have heard mixed opinions. This is their lip oil lip stain product, and consistency is really interesting. It's kind of like a jelly. Out of all their lip products, I actually like this one the most. However, I have heard that it has chapped some people's lips. Fortunately, I have not run into that issue. With this one as well, it does get darker with the more you reapply. So if you were to do like multiple coats throughout the day, the stain does get darker. But I don't know, I kind of like that. And the last thing I have is actually the Blot and Glow blotting sheets and puff. This puff actually has the powder loaded into it. I will say though, it does kind of cling onto your dry patches if you have them. I love the blotting sheets though. I am a sweaty bitch, so I need these always. I do be producing a lot of oil. This is just for me sitting and filming underneath the hot lights. But there you have it, a full face of Rare Beauty and then some. And if you guys are curious about the body line, I also have a full dedicated video on that as well. I'll be sure to link it below if you're curious. Let me know if you guys have tried anything from the line or if this video made you want to try anything from the line. And with that being said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, thumbs up, all the good, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!